Conversations with Celena, the podcast where we discover inspiration, motivation, and information to help you live your best life. I'm your host, Celena, aka Sunshine, and each week we'll dive into conversations with guests who share their testimonies, insights, and advice. We'll explore topics that uplift, encourage, and empower you to be the best version of yourself you can be. So tune in and let's have some fun while we explore all that life has to offer. Keep it smiling, sunshine, and let's go. Hey, sunshine. Hey, sunshine. Welcome to another episode of Conversation with Celena. We are having double headers all weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I just want to thank you for joining me on this Saturday morning. We are going to talk about mental health. So if this is your first time, I really do want to say I appreciate you joining. I am Celena, aka Sunshine, and I am your smiling host. And if you're returning, thank you for your love and your continuous support. So we're just going to dive on in this morning. You all who have been following me know how important mental health is to me and getting the word out on how we can have great mental health, not just good mental health, but great mental health, because mental health can be bad or good, and we're leaning toward the good, and we're going beyond the good to the great. So I just thank you all for joining me this morning. Be sure to share the video, and I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to share the video as well. And so while we're going to do that, I have decided to do the intermission a little early so that you can have time, Carmen can have time, and I can have a moment to share the video. So you all hang tight. We'll be right back. I'm going to go over here and share the video. I want you to do the same. We'll be right back. Hang tight, my sunshine. Conversations with Celena. We'll be right back. Hey, sunshine. All right. We are back. So many people be saying, Sunshine, text me whenever you go live. So I think I'm going to look into a text message where you join the text message and then it notifies you whenever I'm live, because there is no way for me to remember everyone that says that. So I do apologize if I missed you, but that's okay. We're going to keep it moving. You can come back and watch the replay, and that is okay. So we're going to get this started. Let me hit it one more time. See what we can do over here. There's Carmen. Go, Carmen. I see you, girl. Okay. So I want to introduce to you today our special guest. Her name is Carmen. I'm going to let her say her last name just so I don't mess it up. Radosevich,
yes.
Radosevich. I knew I was going to. Radosevich. Carmen
It's close.
Radosevich. Okay. What type of last name is that?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I've had this conversation. It's my stepdad's last name. We changed it when I turned 18, to kind of match him and my brother and my mom's last name. And we've had conversation about it before, but I can't even remember off the top of my head what they said it was.
Okay, well, Radosevich. She wears two hats in the healthcare industry, y'all. As a staffing coordinator and an account manager, she helps connect medical professionals with the right opportunities. Additionally, she dedicates her time to a crisis team supporting individuals facing mental health and drug addiction challenges. With nearly 5 years of experience in healthcare, her sole professional field, Carmen has spent the past 2 years focusing on mental health and corporate healthcare staffing. Driven by a deep desire to help others, she finds personal fulfillment in sharing her own experiences with growth and healing, fostering a sense of connection and empowerment for both herself and those she assists. So I just want to say welcome, 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 Miss Carmen. I am so tickled that you said yes to my invitation to come to Conversation with Celena to talk about mental health, which is important to me. It's important to you and the listeners, whether they are live or the replay. It is going to bless them. It is going to help someone. It is going to bless them. So we already know before we open up our mouths that it's a crisis. People are struggling mentally and don't want to talk about it. They're fearful of communicating their true feelings, their true traumas. And so it damages how they see themselves, how they speak to themselves, how they respond to others. And so I'm going to give it over to you and just say, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your passion. What drives your passion when it comes to mental health?
Yeah, so I started working in healthcare when I was 16. I started out as a CNA in a long-term care facility. And I always knew that I wanted to be in healthcare, and that was kind of the avenue that I started. And then when I turned 18, I had became a dispatcher, a 911 dispatcher for the city of Des Moines. And I realized that I really enjoyed the aspect of helping in emergencies, but I didn't feel like I was reaching the audience that I personally wanted to connect with. And so I started on a crisis team. And I think that for me really pushed me in the direction that I want to bridge the gap in what people need when it comes to mental health, or even in general for the things that people need overall. It's just really driven me. I say I've had personal life experiences, and the people that are in my life currently, I still feel like I do everything that I can to help them. And I wake up every day knowing that I'm making a difference in my life and somebody else's. And I couldn't be more thankful for that.
So, like, give us an example of some of the things that maybe that you've experienced, and then the things that you do to combat that. Like, because for me, I know like my trauma is from emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, right? And so I spent a lot of time crying, depressed. I was even thinking, I think it was yesterday, was it this morning? I think it was actually this morning. I saw this video. The lady was talking about healthy children, children that thrive. They don't come from a two-parent household. They come from a happy mother, a mentally healthy, happy mother. And I felt so sad for my children again, like just immediately, because they did not have a healthy, happy mom. We survived, but I want them to thrive. I survived the things that I went through, but my desire is still to thrive. And not only me and my children, but the people that are connected to us in Conversations with Celena. Like, if I can encourage you to do more and to do better and to speak good to yourself, that's what I'm going to do. Because so many years my self-talk was negative toward me, and the opinions of others toward me, they were never accurate because they didn't know the internal turmoil that I was going through. They saw my smile, because I've always smiled. This is not something that I put on. This is not something that I just started. I've always had the nickname Smiley or Sunshine or something. It just recently, in the last couple of years, it has just become my name because everybody calls me Sunshine, Miss Sunshine, Miss Sunshine, Miss Sunshine. And I love it because now it's coming from within and not just an outward smile, because I'm working on myself. And it's like a daily thing, because immediately, if I wasn't careful, the thought of being that unhappy mom toward my children, it would have started to make me feel sad, long term, not just for a moment I'm sad, but I had to bounce back and say, listen, both of them in college, you're trying to parent from a different place now. So give us a little bit about like your story and the things how you handle it.
Yeah, unfortunately, my biggest issue has been that the things that I went through have been generational. It's definitely a cycle. And when I grew up in a small town until I was about 12, 11 or 12 years old, and we unfortunately had a house fire. Burned the house completely down to the ground, and we were left with essentially nothing. I mean, me, my mom, my dad, my brother, four of us living in a two-bedroom apartment with my grandma at the time, who was we were very fortunate enough to at least have a place to go, a safe place to go. And then ever since then, I have just watched my parents do everything and struggle to try and get us back to the place that we were at one point. And I think that just growing up around watching the struggle of it go from generation to generation to generation, and just watching, I mean, my dad is blue collar, my mom is come from healthcare too. They're hardworking people, and I spent a lot of my time in high school wishing that everything or that things were easier, that we had something and we came from a place where it was easier to grow out of that cycle, and unfortunately it just wasn't. And I'm thankful enough for my brother and I to be at a point where even I recognized that this was something that I wanted to do better than. And I've really put my effort into that. And the biggest thing is your first step and first approach is to realize and combat that you have control of the situation, regardless of if you feel like you're not in control. Because sometimes things happen to you. And that's one thing that if you learn anything from trauma or anything from things that you go through when you were younger, that you can have control of the situation when you put yourself in that seat to have it. And so that's where I would always say to start, trauma, the things that you go through, the things that happen to you, you don't have any control over in the long run in the way that they happen, but the way that you respond to them and the way that you connect, the way that you feel. And that's kind of how with you taking control of how you feel when it comes to your emotions and being a mother and being a happy, healthy mother, the first step that you took was realizing that you had control over the way that you could feel for that. And I think that that's the biggest thing. I say I just wanted to, and it all starts with the place that you put yourself in. When you realize, yes, there are some things that have happened to you, or there's some things that are going to continue to happen to you, because unfortunately you can't stop the bad things that happen. We all go through things on a day-to-day basis. But you can only take control of that situation and really realize that you can change that there are ways to better yourself and live healthy and happy and be the person that you want to see yourself be, rather than the person that you would be if you let the things happen to you take control of that.
And it's like, and when we're saying take control now, as a child, if a child happens to run across this video, but as a child, you may not have control in that moment. You may not. But as soon as you get free from that moment, find yourself someone that you can trust to talk to, because just like you said, sometimes you can't stop these bad things from happening. Sometimes we put our own selves in bad situations, bad relationships, wrong place, wrong time. Sometimes we do put ourselves in these situations.
Yeah.
And we don't always want to take accountability for that. But the reality of it is, it's like that. And sometimes it's not. But we want to help you find your voice. We want you to not be afraid and hiding behind guilt and shame, because most of the things are not your fault. And if you tell somebody, this is the one thing that I want people to understand. If you tell somebody and they don't believe you, it's somebody that will. So don't you get discouraged, and don't you stop because, oh, well, I told so and so, and teacher, parent, pastor, whoever, and they didn't believe me. Then you find somebody don't you stop, because it is so critical to you being the adult that you were meant to be, like growing into that person. And if you hide behind it, it's poison. It is literally, when I tell you, going to kill you slowly. It will make you sick. It will make you not prosper because you're holding on to it. Even if you're a workaholic, still, if it's undealt with trauma, it's like drinking poison. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? If it's
Yeah.
unforgiveness, it's like drinking poison. And unforgiveness is like drinking it and expecting the other person to die. Like, we have to forgive in order for us to move forward and be the person that we were meant to be from the beginning, because all these things come to get us like off track and not focused and feeling depressed and, suicidal and all of those negative things. And so it's like, it is truly a work. It's a work within yourself that you have to do, and it's daily. Just like I said earlier this morning, before we even did this, it's almost like just hearing that. I didn't even listen to the whole thing. I couldn't. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do that right now, because I know the struggle that I had trying to raise two young men, but not even being where I needed to be.
Yeah, I say, I the kind of talking a little bit about, there's a way to understand that you might have put yourself in a situation and take accountability that you did that. But at the end of the day, it's still something that you can grow from and you can learn from. You were put in that position or put in that place, and you made that decision based on the other things that have resulted in you doing that. And in the future, you can change that as well. And like you said, it's something that you have to work on every single day. If you wake up in the morning and the situations or the things that you have not healed from are something that you're constantly talking or like thinking about, you're using your internal energy to just dwell and just think about all of this stuff that may or may not happen to you of your own accord, of your own choices. But think of everything and everybody else that you could be putting that energy into, and you just put the work in the beginning. You heal kind of the things that you've dealt with and you went through, and then you're able to push forward and do so much more. I mean, and like you said, it's human nature to help other people. It's human nature to help and connect people to the things that you need to. If somebody, you feel like the first person, the first three people, maybe even the first five people that you went to didn't help you in the way that you needed them to, or they didn't listen to you, there, like you said, there is that person. It is human nature to help other people. Everybody at some point in their lives wants to help somebody, even it's just if it's very, very small. And that is why it is really, really important to remember that you should never give up. You shouldn't give up. It can be really hard, and sometimes it is hard to remember. It's hard to remember or like tell yourself that there is somebody that is going to help me, but there is always going to be somebody or something in yourself too. You help yourself in every day. You wake up and you brush your teeth in the morning and you put your clothes on and you breathe the air, your chest rises and falls in the way that it's supposed to. You're helping yourself, even if it's just the small things like that. Sometimes you have to start with the small things like that. But there's always going to be a way to better yourself, and there's always going to be people that will listen.
It definitely is. And they are able to keep what you say confidential, because I think that's another thing that prevents people from sharing, is the fear of, I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable, share the things that have happened to me, talk about my trauma, and you know, are you able to listen to this? Let me talk it out, chime in if you need to, because sometimes the only thing a person needs is a listening ear. They don't necessarily
Mhm.
need you to fix it. They just need someone to listen to where it's confidential and they have that trust factor. I know that you were saying, even if you put yourself in that bad situation, that's true, and I think when I was thinking about that, I was working. I was working at this place, and this man, at the end of the shift, he overpowered me and just had his way with me, right? And so I know that I went there, like I didn't go there on a date, but even if I did, it's like no means no all day long. And
Mhm.
sometimes you're in these situations and your mind is such a powerful thing, you forget about them. Like it takes a long time, but it gets like suppressed deep down in there. And one day, this young lady was sharing with me about her experience with a neighbor and then on a date. And when I tell you that memory came flooding back to me, I was like, oh my God. I don't even think I could tell her that day. But eventually I told her, I said, you remember that day you told me this? I just want you to know that the memory of what had happened to me just came flooding back. And until you deal with things, you're going to have to recall them. And even when you deal with them, you're still going to have to recall them because you'll never forget You'll suppress it the way that my mind did, but it is going to find its way back to the surface.
Yeah, it definitely will. And unfortunately, even though that's something that you will always remember for the rest of your life, it does get easier. It does get easier. I think a lot of people forget, and I just want to say too, in general, a lot of people have this really heavy backpack on. This is like one of my favorite analogies. So you one of your really heavy, this really heavy backpack on, right? And you're carrying it everywhere. It's got everything that you've ever needed, everything that you've ever been through is in this backpack, and it's on your back, and it's just something that's a part of you. It's like a turtle shell. But as you go along in the days that you are living and the things that you're experiencing and the people that you're meeting, your backpack does get lighter because things come out of it, people come out of it, or just everything in general, and it will change. Things do get better. It might change in different types of ways, but if you start with the concept that it's the little things, I instead of even saying I have to get up in the morning and I have to go do this, it's something small like, actually, I can get up. I do get to go up and I do get to go do this. And if you just start with really small concepts like that, today I can make my backpack lighter. Today I can do what I can to put the tools that I need in my backpack for just today. Maybe your backpack needs you need a relaxed day. You need to not do anything. You need to lay in your bed and you just need to decompress, and that's all that you need. Your backpack is lighter that day because you are taking the time that you need to deal with what you're going through. And and I think that that is really important. That is definitely one of the first steps of healing and coping and dealing with your emotions, is recognizing that they're there and that you need that, for sure.
So just the change up in words is very key because that have to just makes you tired as soon as you as soon as you say I have to,
Yeah.
it just kind of puts a like, oh, I have to go do this. But when you look at it as I get to or I can, that's completely different because it's almost exciting to say, oh, I get to do this. Something just got in my eye too. I get to do this or I can do this because some people cannot. Some of the things that you have the ability to do, others cannot. And so I do thank you for pointing those things out. And I'm just going to give the floor over to you for some of the tips and maybe some of the resources that you have, or even if you want to share some of your testimony that you believe that will be a blessing, and then you can roll into some of the other things. And I'm going to put the crisis number up on the screen as well as you're talking about it, so that people can understand that it is super easy now to get help.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So recently, in the last couple years, we realized that we're really going through a mental health crisis. There are a lot of people in the United States. And that is the good thing about, overall social media and just having light on a lot more things, that a lot of people are struggling. And I don't know, as bad as that looks from the outside, we're saying all of these people are struggling. It also is a great reminder to remember that you are not alone. You are not going through the things that you go through by yourself. There are people who wake up every day and they have that mission and that passion and that drive to help people. And it's, you need to remember, as an individual who might wake up and you're on the other side of it and you need the help, you know, you are not alone. There, you will never be alone. There are billions of people on this planet, and it's a really good thing to remember and cycle back to when Celena said that, you know, she stated that there is somebody who will listen. There is somebody who will listen. And as being a part of a crisis team, it's something that I'm really passionate about, and making people realize that they can get help. You can get help even if it's small. And I really, like I said, I started with just the small concept of telling yourself that you get to do something in the morning, that you don't have to do something in the morning. And there's other like small coping mechanisms that we always recommend to people in general whenever they're struggling. And you feel like, I feel like the terminology spiraling is a good word to put in whenever I'm explaining the concept of this, because a lot of people will start with one thing and their anxiety or their depression will cause them to kind of turmoil and spiral into this constant of, well, now I have this and I have this and I have this that I'm going through. And it's not just the one thing anymore. It's all of a sudden too much. You've got all of this stuff on your plate. And I as simple as it sounds, and it's something that you've probably heard since you were little, is taking a deep breath and counting 1 to 10 and realizing that you can only start with one thing at a time. There's only so many things that a person can deal with, one thing at a time. And that's what I'd recommend, is just taking a deep breath and realizing that you are one person and you are doing great. You are doing great as a human being. You are doing great as an individual. You were able to do, even if it's just the small things. I say I struggled with depression a lot over the last couple years in general. I had a really, really, really hard time grasping the concept that I was doing enough, that I was doing everything that I could, helping me and the people in my lives. I say, unfortunately, I struggle with dealing with other people in my life with addiction. It runs in my family. There are a lot of addicts on my biological father's side of the family. My mom comes from a side that also has problems with that. And so I wake up and I know that I have to deal with the repercussions of addiction. And it really caused me to, I felt like I was spiraling, like I wasn't doing enough. Like I was struggling immensely inside and outside because I couldn't help the people that I wanted to help in the way that I wanted. And you have to realize that you are only one person. You are only one individual, and you have to start with your own being. You have to start with yourself. And when you stop and you forget that you are also somebody who matters, that's when you'll start to spiral. And so telling yourself that the affirmations, it sounds so silly. And a lot of people are like, why would I do that? Why would I why would I talk to talk to myself in this type of form? It is so important. And it's something that I really advocate a lot to, even with people who are in active addiction. And addiction is a whole different monster than dealing with mental health, because mental health is something completely different that addiction can tie into. But it's important that you are nice and take care of yourself. You have to be nice to yourself. I think that is, I really like to touch base and just make people remember that you have to be nice to yourself. You also matter. The things that you go through matter, and you are not alone. And sometimes taking the first step, I get to do this in the morning. You look in the mirror and you tell yourself, I can be good today. I can be great today. I can brush my teeth today and do your hair, or just the small things like that. What can I do to make my backpack lighter? In general. And of course, it spans, there are people who go through vastly different things in different people go through different things every day. But you have to start with taking care of yourself and remembering that you matter too. You matter as an individual. The things that you care about, the things you like to eat, the things that you like to do on a day-to-day basis, those things matter. It's small, but they matter, and you have to realize that.
Mm-hmm. I want to read this. Somebody just sent this to me this morning. This says, you need to be the most important person in your life. It doesn't matter if you're married, have children, if you're a caretaker, etc. You need to prioritize yourself. It's okay to tell people no.
Yeah.
No one is entitled to an explanation, which is another thing we get caught up in is people pleasing, feeling like we have to say yes to everything. And if we do say no, like it makes us sick to our stomach to say no. And then we got to give this 10-page explanation of why we're saying no. But it's okay to say no. No one is
Mhm.
entitled to an explanation. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. It's not being selfish, it's practicing self love. Without it, you'll eventually burn yourself out and be of no use to anyone.
Right. And that was something I was going to say too. It's not selfish. It is not selfish to sit down and or stand and say, I can't. I can't do it today. It's too much. I am overwhelmed. I have too much going on and I need to understand and deal with what I am going through. That is not selfish. It is not selfish at all because at the end of the day, you have to remember you are also helping that person by not pulling the energy from yourself that isn't completely there and giving it to them and it's not the best energy that you could have.
Mm-hmm.
You are helping them by helping yourself and that is a great way to look at it. It's not selfish when you wake up in the morning and you decide that today is not the day for me to give the energy that I don't have to somebody or to something or in general. It's just not.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So if you find yourself in a situation, first of all, it's okay to say no to others, yes to yourself. We need to practice that on a regular basis. If you do find yourself in a crisis, then they have made it so easy. You don't have to remember a long 800 number. You can call or text 988, and that is the crisis support line. I know that, we're coming from different states and we don't want to give you resources in just one location. So this is a national number that you can call. Now, Carmen, what if someone just needs, it's not a crisis, but they may just feel like overwhelmed, like I'm just overwhelmed and I need someone to talk to. Is this number available for that same type of situation?
Yeah, so that's why they included the text message format as well. This line is also a line that you can just call and talk to. Use it almost like a sounding board platform, a platform that it's somebody you need to talk to. I know sometimes you wake up and or you are going throughout your day and you realize that you really need to talk about something and you don't have anybody to talk to about it. 988, that's kind of why they made the texting line. You can also call. It branches off into different categories of crisis support in general. It's technically considered or is a suicide hotline, but it's not only for just people who are suicidal. Some people are going through things and they don't have those thoughts or the thought process that that's something that they want to do. You are always, always, always more than welcome, and they encourage that you reach out just for somebody to talk to as well on that line.
Okay, well, that is awesome. And it's also good to know because I do believe that people feel like, I think we touched on this already, it's hard to find someone to trust and let your words be on a confidential ear, where it's not going to go any further. It's just between the two of us. You don't have to worry. That way, you have the liberty to use that sounding board and just let it go. Just you don't have to worry about
Mhm.
who did what, when, where, how. And I think that's what keeps us from living a completely free and transparent life because most of the trauma comes from familiar people or places or things. It happens in families, it happens in churches, it happens at school, and you feel like
Yeah.
nobody's going to believe me because it's this person or this family member or that coach or you just never know. And so a lot of times, and it don't even have to be trauma, it could be finances. It's hard to talk about your finances sometimes with your friends and your family because they're looking at you like, weren't you just in Walmart yesterday? Then you just post like 5 packages from Amazon. They come from that
Yeah.
judgmental place, and that's the last thing that you need is the judgment. You just need to get it off of you and say, listen, I am so overwhelmed. I did this to myself or whatever, because sometimes those addictions could be shopping, food, whatever, and it's a way
Yeah.
to feel good temporarily, and then you right back to that same spiraling out of control, because that's not getting to the root. That's just a temporary fix and feel good for that moment.
Correct. And that's really common. I think that that probably resonates with a lot of people, and it's that everybody has a coping mechanism, and not always is the coping mechanism the way that it's actually healing the things that they're going through. It's just a temporary solution. And so that's a lot of the reason why when you do reach out to people who are professionals in the field, that the first thing that you're most likely going to talk about is how are you coping? What are you doing to better yourself? What are you doing to fix yourself? And at the end of the day, the thing that they're always asking you is, what are you doing for you? What are you doing for you? And that, I think that that is really important for you to remember. You're not alone, and there are billions of people on this planet, and there are people who can help you, but you also have to help yourself. You also have to want to help yourself.
You have to help yourself. You got to first have that want to, and that is hard to get. That's why having that number available, you can have someone on the other end remind you, number one, you're not alone. Number two, your feelings are valid. And number three,
Mm-hmm.
let's just stop, take a deep breath. You're worthy, you're important. Those words of affirmation that you were talking about, like, I mean, those are the top two that I remember: taking deep breaths, doing your affirmations, waking up telling yourself that you get to and you can do these things. But like, what is something that you feel is like pressing and needs, um, um, pressing in terms of mental health advocacy? What do you think right now is really pressing in the times that we're living in that we need to address?
I think that depression as an
Mm.
overall concept is something that is not talked about enough.
Mhm.
I think that I definitely over the last, I mean, even the last 5 years since the pandemic, I mean, the pandemic had a massive impact on a lot of people. And it made a lot of people realize that when their days are at a slow, the things that they have to think about and have to process become bigger.
Mhm.
And I don't think that a lot of people realize the impact that it would have on themselves, but also the people that they care about, the family that they live with, that they spend time with. And as normalized as mental illness has been nowadays, I don't think that a lot of people realize that being sad is okay. That depression is very, very common, unfortunately, and it's something that everybody on a day-to-day basis might possibly be dealing with. And I think that it's important to remember and to tell yourself, that this is something that is happening, and I just, if there was anything that I could change, or that I think needs to be better normalized and realized, is that it's okay to feel the emotions and to have those emotions. And depression is super, super common now, and I just don't think that we're really talking about solutions to that, solutions and what we can do to help that, as it'll happen to anybody. Even the people who wake up in the morning and they have everything that they could ever possibly want and more in their life still struggle with sadness and the emotions that they have from depression. And the solutions to that need to be better conversated and talked about, and people need to realize that it's common and that other people are also struggling with this, and that it's something that needs to be worked on overall, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that because I feel like the pandemic definitely gave you a lot of silent time, quiet time, alone time because you couldn't really go anywhere. And so
Mhm.
those feelings came up and they came out, and you had to deal with them some type of way, because I know really, it was during the pandemic that I was able to find my voice and to freely talk about some of the things. I still have some things that don't flow freely from me. So I know I'm still on my healing journey, but I am able to say that I was a victim of emotional, sexual, and physical abuse. But I am now victorious because I'm no longer hiding behind that and crying every single moment, of most of the days. I put a smile on when I go out, but when I come back, I turn into a totally different person with my kids because why? They were little people, they were innocent. I had control, felt like, over them. And it just makes my heart sad that instead of me enjoying them the way that I should have, I was lashing out and, taking those undealt with frustrations out on them. But thankfully they turned out to be some good young men. We all have work to do on ourselves, but I do know that when you're dealing with depression and you isolate yourself, it only makes it worse.
Yeah. And I just want to say to point out, because you had mentioned that you were still on your healing journey. I think it's important to remember that you're going to be healing every day of your life. Unfortunately, the world keeps turning and rotating around the sun, and there will always be a journey that you're on, and healing is one of them. And it's important to remember that you can only take it day to day, and that the little bit and little things that you're doing on a daily basis is helping you heal yourself. And by you healing yourself, you're also healing other people around you. And it can feel overwhelming, but it's something that we all are going to deal with because things are constantly happening. I mean, it's even if from it's something small, from spilling your cup of milk in the morning while you're trying to put it in your coffee, and it's frustrating to you because you're like, not already this morning, like, really. And then you realize in one day, once you're healing, you're dealing with that, you're learning how to cope with that, and you're able to wake up in the morning and you spilt your cup of milk and you realize, oh my goodness, I have milk that I get to spill. I have cups that I get to put my milk in, and I do not need to be frustrated because this is stuff that happens. That's something that small is something that you're healing from. I mean, you're healing from stuff on a day-to-day basis every single day. To remember that you're doing what you can to help yourself is important, and you're gonna always be trying to better yourself and heal from things that are happening.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, and I believe that there are some people out there who feel like you have to wait until you arrive. And it's like you're saying, we're constantly working on ourselves, constantly becoming better. And so you can't wait. Like you could have said, oh no, I don't want to do the podcast with you or the show with you right now because I want to go take a class, or I want to wait till I get my degree, or I want to wait till I, have 10 years under my belt. We can always come up with excuses of why we can't do it, but we can do it along the way. Like the
Mm-hmm.
next time you come back, you will have more experiences, more lessons, more failures, more wins that you can come back and say, since my last visit, these are the things that I've experienced, and this is how I overcame it. This is what I did to work on my mental health to help myself overcome this frustration or that situation, whatever it may be. And so I chose not to quit, waiting to get a certificate, waiting to get, a few more years up underneath my belt. I mean, how many years do I need? I'm already 51 years old. How many more years do you need before you get started? But so many people will come up with every excuse under the sun not to do things and do things that they love. Like you love helping people, and this is just another avenue to say, hey, this is what happened to me. This is my family history. I have family history of abuse, and I struggle every day to make sure that I don't fall victim to that same thing. When things get me stressed and I get overwhelmed and I get depressed, I don't want to, and I will not go in that direction because I see how it has destroyed my family for generations. So I applaud you for coming on and being vulnerable and sharing some of your testimony with us, because you're free to share whatever you want to share, talk about whatever you want to talk about. Like, we are here to help the next person, whether they see it live or they see the replay. And I know some of my viewers have already heard, the rape situation. They've heard about the abuse, the incest, things of that nature. And oh Lord, when I say this has been a process, it has been a
Mhm.
process, and people don't see the tears. They see the smile, they see the hey sunshine, but they don't see the sadness and they don't see the tears. I mean, sometimes it gets so overwhelming when you're talking about it. Not that you're holding any unforgiveness toward the people, but just to know that as an innocent child and young adult, you went through things that were out of your control. And because of that, and the things that I was talking about in your control, because of your past, because of your trauma, you made poor decisions in your adult relationships, whether they were friendships or intimate relationships. So that's what I meant when I was talking about putting yourself in situations. I don't want anybody to get it confused, because if it was a situation where you were sexually assaulted, that is not what I was referring to. When I said putting
Mhm.
yourself in situations, I meant you go out and you choose people. It's almost like you're attracted to that same type of spirit or something. You go out and you
It's the
find
only thing you've ever seen.
that's the
It's
only
the
thing
only thing you've ever been around. So you'll gravitate towards it,
you
unfortunately.
gravitate toward, that abuse, those addictive
Yeah.
behaviors.
And that's why it's important to remember that you can break that cycle, because I've seen it over and over and over again working in the profession of healthcare where, you've never seen or experienced anything differently than gravitate, than that energy, than those people around you doing those actions and those things. You gravitate towards it. Unfortunately, it's something that you're comfortable with. At that point, it's just more normalized. You think that it's normal, you think that it's okay, and it's not. It is not okay. And
Mm.
it's a lot of the reason why we see so many of these constant cycles happening over and over and over again, because we're not talking about how it's not normal. The
We're not
abuse, the
talking.
addiction, the negativity, all of it, it's not normal. That is not a normal thing that a person should go through on a day-to-day basis. And we need to start realizing that it's okay for you to take the power back in your hands and realize that it is okay to care about yourself and the things that you are experiencing and the way that you feel about it, you know?
So, how old were you, Carmen, when you felt like I'm taking my power back? Like, when did you say enough is enough? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm taking my power back, and I am taking control over the direction that my life is going to go in.
I think for me, I was probably around 17 or 18 when I was coming to graduation, and I realized, wow, I can get out of this. I can do what I need to do for myself and how I need to do it. And I just really decided that I was going to take the bull by the horns, and I was going to do what I needed to do to put myself in a position where I would have the shoes on my feet that I would want to wear, and I'd be able to wake up every day and know that I get to do something. I started out like I said, with my CNA at 16. I got my EMT when I was a senior in high school, and I just felt like it was important for me to set myself up and realize that I could break a cycle of generational trauma and incest as well, and just situations where family also decided that they didn't want to take that power back. And it's important, it's very important, and it needs to be more talked about. And people need to realize that just because it's something that happened to you doesn't mean that you have to portray and project that onto other people. You can stop it at you, and you can change that.
Amen, amen, amen. That is the truth. You can stop that, because, I hear so many people say, well, it happened. They make excuses for the previous family member. Well, it happened to them. Well, it happened to me too, but I chose to say it's not going to go from me to the next like my mind doesn't even operate like that. So it's so hard for me to even understand how somebody could want to hurt a child, hurt a family member in that manner. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
still blows my mind and it frustrates me sometimes, but it also encourages me to never ever stop. Like, keep doing this journey, keep moving forward on this journey, keep telling my testimony. And I know some people be like, why you gotta tell the same thing over and over? That's depressing. It is gonna help
It's
somebody.
you,
Well, it's me. But
you know?
the purpose of me sharing it is not to spiral myself down into a depression, because I can talk about it now and I don't get depressed, because I know that some child will see this and say, Miss Sunshine, Miss Carmen said, if I told this person and they didn't believe me, I could go tell that person. I know I'm not thinking that this video is going to help somebody. I know that it's going to help somebody. And then if it's an adult seeing it, they can also say, if they were able to take control of their life back, so can I. So
Right.
this is to vary from age to race. It doesn't matter. I mean, from the smallest to the oldest, if you can grow from this, if you can wake up in the morning and encourage yourself and say, I can do this, I get to do this, and tell yourself that you're worthy and that your past doesn't define who you are. You know, it has
Yeah.
made you who you are, but don't let it define you into this depressed person and mean and hateful person, because some people really don't know how to deal with it. And so with them, let me put that number back up there. With them making that number available to people, it's the release that they need. When you have it all bottled up on the inside and you're not free to talk about it, it creates a monster. You know, it
Yeah.
creates a monster.
It really does. I have one of my very, very best friends from high school. Her and I have had this conversation time and time and time again. That the moment that you let yourself become angry at the things that are happening to you are the moment that you will start the sliding scale into misery. And we've always, I mean, I can't even say the amount of times we've had this conversation where if you take the things that have happened to you, even if it's something as big as abuse or addiction or being, you know, something that it was out of your control, and even to something so small, like I said, like spilling the cup of milk in the morning, the moment that you let the emotion, the negative emotion over and control who you are as a being, is the moment that it will only go downhill from there. And so if you just remember, and it can be so, I'm not downplaying how hard it can be, because it can be hard. It's okay that it's hard, because there are hard things that are going to happen. You know, we're always going to deal with hard things regardless. It is okay that it is hard, but you have to remember that the moment I let myself become angry at these things that are or were happening to me is the moment that it will only get worse from there, because you're not looking at it in a way that you can better the situation or yourself or the positive things. You're looking at the glass is half empty and not half full. And it makes a very, very, very big difference in the way that you go about things and how you feel about them.
Hmm. Yeah, girl, it has been a struggle. It has truly been a struggle. And I just think about the conversations. I know you say you have that conversation with your best friend, and it's like, this is not right here. This is only one conversation of the many that I have in a week. You know, I'm constantly
Mm-hmm.
having conversations offline with people who life is just like slamming them, feels like it, from one side to the other side to the other side. And we do have to be mindful of our self talk and the things that we do on a daily basis. You know, I just started trying to eat better. I'm over here drinking my smoothie right now. He told me last night, like, you can't eat the whole pineapple. I was like, child, I put the whole pineapple in there and then I sucked the whole pitcher, you know, the whole full blender
Mm-hmm.
down. So I'm taking my time. I've been drinking this since the first live and just not consuming so much at one time. But I'm saying that to say I've started trying to put better things in my body. That also helps your mental health. Movement, getting some exercise also helps your mental health. Music
Yeah.
also helps your mental health. Like, and Carmen may have a list of things that she want to share, so I'm going to be quiet. But I thought about that this morning of how much better I feel when I listen to music. But when you're depressed, I don't have anything on. It's just my thoughts. When I'm depressed, there's no TV going, there's no music going, there's no blinds open, and it just takes a little
Yeah.
bit of movement. Walk over there, open up the blind, get you some sunlight, move over there, turn the radio on. Before you know it, that music would have increased your mood. You would have went from kind of feeling down to kind of want to move in your body a little bit. Then you start moving, you want to move a little bit more, you move, and it's a domino effect. But just like Carmen said, it takes that one small thing. And once you do that one small thing, you can do that next bigger thing. And then the bigger thing. And before you know it, you can be like, oh my God, I really am great. I'm amazing. I'm awesome.
Yeah.
I'm breaking generational curses. I'm not doing the same thing that my parents did, grandparents, ancestors. I'm not doing those same things anymore.
That's correct. I definitely agree with that 110%. It starts with something small. I know that from working in healthcare and dealing with mental health, that I deal with people every day who say, I don't even have the energy to wake up in the morning and brush my teeth. I don't even have the energy to pick up a hairbrush because to me it feels like, what is the point? What is the point in brushing my hair, brushing my teeth in the morning? I just can't. I can't do it. And I always tell them that the moment that you stop and you realize that it's just something that's very small, and it's okay if you feel like you're in a situation, I can't brush my teeth, oh my gosh, I don't even have the energy to take a shower, oh my gosh, I don't even have the energy to get dressed today. It's okay to start with the day of just brushing your teeth, and then the next day you push yourself to brush your teeth, but then you also brush your hair. And then the day after that, you brush your teeth and you brush your hair and then you put on clean clothes for the day. And then it really just spirals into that domino effect of realizing that you can start very small and you can better yourself in the little ways. That way, you're still taking the power back and you're still doing what you can for yourself and you're still making yourself important. And I think that it's really important to remember too that it's okay. It's okay, and your emotions are valid, and the way that you're feeling is valid. You being depressed is valid. You having anxiety is valid. I mean, but you can't let that control you. Yes, yes, the way that you feel is valid. The way that your depression is valid and you being sad is valid, but you also have to remember that what can you do to better that, you know? And the music is a good thing. The eating healthy is a good thing. And sometimes it is something like just a small sweet treat too, you know? I did great today. I deserve to have a cookie. I did great today. I brushed my teeth. I did my hair. I deserve to make myself brownies if I want to. It is okay to reward yourself regardless of how awful you might be feeling or how crappy the things around you feel. Remember that the things that you do for yourself are also important and it all cycles back. It's crazy to think that it all works itself in a crazy way where when you start with one thing, it all connects back to you bettering yourself in the long run, regardless of how small or large it is, regardless of what it is. It does make a difference. It may not feel like it's making a difference in that day, but it is making a difference in the long run. And you have to remember that it's okay to just walk a little bit of the mile one day, because at the end of the day, that entire mile will get finished, even if it's a week from now, or it's 2 weeks from now, or if it's 3 weeks from now, or even a year from now.
And it does happen that way where you don't even have the energy to. I had someone tell me they didn't even have the energy to answer the phone, text, none of the talk, none of that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but the one thing that I do want to say, if you feel like you can't brush your teeth, you can't brush your hair, you can't get up, put on clean clothes, whatever it is that you're struggling with in that particular day, remember this too shall pass. Because in some of those deepest, darkest moments, you may not have the energy to get dressed, you may not have the energy to brush your teeth, but sometimes you have just enough energy to do something that is a permanent decision to a temporary problem because you're
Yeah.
so overwhelmed, you're so depressed, you're feeling so hopeless that life just doesn't seem like it's worth living. But it is. It
It
is.
is not permanent.
It is not
Your
permanent.
backpack, yes, Lena, your backpack does get lighter, and that is why that is one of my favorite analogies because it doesn't last forever. It is so important, like I said, to remember the days keep going, the sun keeps rotating, the moon keeps going around the sun. There is a tomorrow, and there is a way that you can make tomorrow better. And that is the first step I always tell everybody anytime that I'm dealing with any form of person who feels like they can't do it anymore. Today is only 24 hours long. It is only 24 hours long, and you can't let that day affect your day tomorrow because you can reset. It is not permanent. Your backpack does get lighter. And as overwhelmed, as sad, it might be too much. And yeah, you might still be dealing with the same days tomorrow or the same thing tomorrow. That's okay because it's not going to last forever. It might
Because
last tomorrow or the day after, but not
nothing
forever.
lasts forever.
Nope.
Mm-mm. It's a day-to-day thing. Big Red said take one day at a time. So it's a day-to-day journey. And even though that backpack gets lighter along the journey, something's gonna get thrown in. You're like, ooh, this backpack done got
Yeah.
heavy again. But
Hmm.
the thing about it is take that one day at a time, one step at a time, and before you know it, you're throwing things out the backpack. I mean, I just moved here and I moved here and I brought what I could bring in the car. I gave
Yeah.
all of my stuff away. I sold a couple of things, but that's it. I could count on one hand what I sold. Everything else, it was just given away. And starting over, I'm like, okay, I want to be a minimalistic type person. Girl, I like packages too. But packages make me happy. You send me something in the mail. I got a big old smile on my face. But I don't lost my thought what I was trying to say. But you don't need a whole lot. You don't need
Yeah.
a whole lot. So you can start slinging stuff. I think that's what I was saying. You start slinging stuff out that backpack and be like, I don't need this anymore. I don't need to carry this around anymore. I'm not depressed anymore. I'm not anxious anymore. And if you need to talk to somebody, call that number. If you need to go get medication, go get the medication. Let's cancel the embarrassment. Let's debunk. Is that how they say it? The stigma.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to touch base on, the normalization of
Crazy.
medication.
Like, no, you're not crazy because you go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a counselor. You're actually smart. You're smarter than the people that's not going. The ones that have problems
Mhm.
that's not going, they're the ones that's probably crazy. But if you're reaching out for help and you're taking medication, that's another thing that's not forever. You can take medication from this period of time to maybe that period of time to help you get beyond the humps, to help you come out of the darkness and back into the light. Meditate, pray. There's so many things that you can do. And what you did today, you might have to do something tomorrow. You might have to dance tomorrow to get beyond what you got going on this day. You might have to call a friend, phone a friend that following day because dancing just not doing it this particular day. So each day is definitely one step at a time because it's different every day. The storms, the battles, the everything is different daily. And so your approach is probably going to be different. But what you can do is wake up knowing, hey, I got the victory. I remember
Yep.
seeing sunshine and Carmen, and all I
Yeah.
do is get up and make baby steps and take small actions. And that is what's going to win the race for me is to continue to take those small baby steps every single day until I'm running, baby. And then I'm flying and soaring. And before you know it, you see that person on TV giving us credit. I'm like, child, it was those ladies over there that had blessed me.
Yeah, I do. I do want to touch base a little bit too about the medication thing. You
Go ahead.
said, there anybody, I just want to say, because I feel like this is fairly common too, and she kind of touched base a little bit about it, where people are like, well, it's embarrassing. The people that I have in my life don't support that, they don't agree with it. Well, I want you to realize that the cycle that you are in right now is due to them feeling that way about getting the help that you need.
Mhm.
And so, if you think that that is embarrassing, like there's people who are going to listen. And the first step to breaking that cycle is realizing that not everything that they're doing or that they're saying or that they're going through is normal or is something that you should be experiencing. And if that person around you is telling you, why are you going to therapy? You don't need to go to therapy. What are you on medication for? What do you need to, take medication for? Well, maybe if they would have also taken those first steps to better themselves, we wouldn't all be in the situations that we're in, you know? It's all about fixing and healing the things that we need to fix and heal, and that is okay. Don't ever let somebody tell you that the things that you feel like you need for yourself when it comes to healing or taking medication or seeking therapy or talking to people, don't let them degrade you when it comes to that. And I know that it might be hard, but that's when you really need to realize, do I need to have those people around me, or do I need to pull them out of my backpack and set them aside?
You took the words out my mouth.
Yeah, they don't need to be in your backpack if they're not going to support the things that you are doing to better yourself, to get better. Jealousy and is a thing. You will realize day in and day out that there are people in your life who will be upset or angry about the things that you're trying to do to better yourself. That's because you took the pivotal point to realize that you needed the help and they don't want to do it. And so you have to stop and you have to realize, just because they're telling me that I shouldn't do this, that I don't need to do this, doesn't mean that it's true. They probably need to do it too, and they just aren't. And so you need to step back and realize, are they dragging my backpack down, or are they making my backpack lighter? Because at the end of the day, you don't need to have the cinder blocks in your backpack to take a walk down the street. What do you need that for? You don't.
Mhm.
It's counterproductive.
And it's so hard to separate. Sometimes that's one of the hardest things to do, is to separate and to leave. But that is, like you said, the pivotal point when you break off from some of those things that we've been attached to, people, places, and things. You have to detach yourself in order to do the things that we're talking about, in order to soar, in order to run, in order to prosper, to be in that great mental health that we're trying to help you get to. You have to detach yourself to some of those people that you don't want to, that you got time
Yep.
and titles attached to them. Well, that's been my friend for 50 years. Well, there's a cinder block in your backpack. Well, that's my auntie. That's a cinder block in your backpack. So detach yourself and be okay, because your future depends on it. Your destiny depends on it, because everybody can't go where you're going. Everybody don't have that same vision, because it's your vision. When you have dreams and desires in your belly that you're giving birth to, people that are jealous, they're gonna try to have you abort that don't make
Mhm.
no sense, girl. You just need to go get you a 9 to 5. When you're talking about stepping out, opening up your own business, doing whatever it is that you dreamt about as a little child, other
They
people are
don't
gonna
want you to be better than them. They don't
say,
want you to be better than them. And that's why it's important to remember too that it is that the feeling that you are feeling negative about detaching this person from your life is only temporary. The anxiety and sadness and hatred that you might feel in your own being, that I know a lot of people probably experience that too, that gut feeling where it feels like you're going to puke. It feels like you're going to throw up because it just brings so much negative emotion to yourself. That is not something you are going to feel forever. And tomorrow it's going to be easier than it was the day before to detach yourself from that person, because once you get rid of that cinder block, you realize how much better you feel from not having it. It
mm-hmm,
might be scary in the beginning. You are not alone. You can do this. You get to do this. You're an amazing human being. You have the ability to do everything you can and more. Other people do it. I can do it too. Just do it. Just do it. Just just realize that it's temporary. It's okay. It's valid to be upset about it. That valid emotion is going to not last forever. But in the long run, the positivity and the good thing you are going to get out of detaching yourself from that sender block is going to last forever. That is going to impact positively on your life from the day that you decide that you want to do that, that you're going to get rid of the sender block. That is something that will always be there because it was a positive impact.
Mm-hmm. And those cinder blocks can be so many different things. Like as you're
Mm-hmm.
saying this, like I'm visualizing making a post of a backpack and naming all these things that could be in that backpack weighing you down: the depression, the anxiety, the incest, the rape, the loss of a job, the overlook for a promotion. Help me name some more, girl. What else could be cinder blocks in that
I'll
backpack?
say maybe it's just the weight that you want to drop, or the job that they don't appreciate you, or the stuff that you have in your closet that needs to be thrown away that you haven't touched in a million years, or the bed that you've been pushing off, you need to buy a new one because you've had it for 10 years. It's just small stuff like that too, you know?
It all could pile up in that backpack and weigh you down and prevent you from running and soaring. So, Dr. Deranche said dead weight must be dropped so that you can have the capacity to run faster and further and soar higher than ever. And you know, and that is a true statement because you can. Have you seen anybody soar? This dragging all these bags remind me of that song. Erica Badu, Bag Lady, child, that was me. I had a bag every time I went to work. It looked like I was moving in and moving out. But you know what? I had become accustomed to feeling like I needed all of this stuff in my bag. And
Yeah.
now I'm trying to figure out how can I move lighter? Because if you can move quickly, you can get somewhere. And you need to surround yourself, like Dr. D said, surround yourself with people that support your growth and your development. And so, even for her, she has invited me to be on the red carpet, on the royal carpet, as a royal carpet correspondent the third weekend in this month. I think it's the third weekend. It's like the 22nd, 23rd. And so, you know, people see things in you sometimes that you don't see in yourself, but you're not going to get that if you're dealing with people that's got a jealous spirit. They're not
Right.
going to try to pull you in and push you up and help elevate you. But it's, what is that saying? Like, people at the bottom compete, but you know you're at the top when you're like collaborating. Like we
Mm-hmm.
collaborate, we don't compete. We work together to accomplish a common goal. And so I'm not trying to be at the bottom down here competing, trying to do this, trying to be that, have that crab mentality. So I'm thankful for everybody that God is placing in my life. Like I met you almost your last day. You know what I'm saying? But I knew I was supposed to because I had never seen you before. And I'm just thankful for the connection because you never know. We might be doing some more events together, you know, helping people get beyond those generational curses and those things that people do not want to talk about. People are grown with children, women are grown with children, men are grown with children, and spouses that don't even know the things that they're dealing with. Like I had one lady tell me that her husband, now she grown with children. She said her husband came in one night, and you know how husbands do, they just kind of reach up underneath the cover, you know, just to pat you or whatever. She jumped clean up out the bed, screaming at him, telling him, "Don't you ever do that again." He don't even know what in the where is this coming from. But it was because as a young girl, she had been being touched and molested by a cousin who would come in and slide his hand right up underneath the cover to start doing whatever it is he was doing. And so you have your mate blindsided by your reaction to something that they're just doing what husbands do. And so I used to think like the enemy used to try to tell me, girl, you telling all your business, your husband, you know, whoever gonna be with you, they're not even gonna want to be with you because they know all of the stuff that you've been through. and you're damaged good. So why would they want you? And then you tell, girl, I had to hurry up and say, that is a lie. I will be transparent. I will tell my testimony. I will talk about rape. I will talk about molestation. I will talk about incest, and I will not be ashamed. And whoever God has for me, they are for me, and they're going to accept me with all these flaws and all this fluff that I got going on, and these scars and girl, I got so many scars, but hey, you better rub them, put some cocoa butter on them and rub them and be like, honey, I love all of you. And I'm going to say, you know what? Me too. I love all of me too.
Mhm.
And that's the reason some of us are still single, because we haven't embraced who we are and where we've come from. Girl, because when I look back, I can't do nothing but thank God for how far He has brought me. In spite of everything the enemy tried to throw my way, in spite of everything that which came to destroy me, which came to kill me when I wasn't trying to kill myself. Because I have had the suicidal thoughts. And that, I'm not going to be ashamed of that either. I'm going to talk about that. So I'm getting to the point where it's just going to be all out there on the table. I don't know if I can tell it all because I need to save a little bit for the book. But I'm a talker, so I might as well tell it. Hey, Sunshine. Girl, you done got, I'm crunk now because I'm just like,
Yeah, well, it's important. It's important to talk about. I mean, and I also want to say, I still wake up every day. I've had the suicidal thoughts. I've had the thoughts that I don't want to be here. I can't do it anymore. I have the thoughts that I don't think I can cut these people off. I don't think that I can stop doing anything for these people. It's normal. It is a normal thing to feel those emotions. I don't sit here as somebody who has never experienced this and I'm saying, you should do this, you need to do this. I have been there. I'm still there. I'm still at a point in my life where I'm still working through who do I actually have that is helping me grow and who is dragging me down.
mm-hmm.
Because everybody has baggage. Everybody's got stuff in their backpacks, unfortunately. It's the people who have the clear backpacks that realize that they can fix the problems that they have in their life, that they can grow and they can flourish and they can experience the things that they're doing because they are transparent. They are talking about it. They are realizing that it's there and they're processing and they're working through it. And that is resulting in them helping other people, that's helping other people, that's helping other people.
Just helping
That's
other people.
exactly. And so it's like you have the clear backpack and look at you. You might still have stuff in that backpack. You're always going to have stuff in that backpack. Unfortunately, it's just the way that it is. But you're helping people, we're helping people, people are helping people. It's common nature, and when you realize that it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to process the things that you've been through, and it's okay to tell people about it. It is so normalized and stigmatized behind, we don't need to talk about this. You don't need to be telling everybody's business out here, like you said. But the thing is they made those actions to get you to experience the things that you were feeling. Why do you deserve to feel the negative emotions from something that happened to you? Because it did happen. That did happen to you. How you feel about it did happen, and you have every right to talk about it. You have every right to experience it and you have every right to feel the emotion because it did happen to you. And that's why it is so important to remember that you matter too, that you are not alone, and the things that you are dealing with are things that you should talk about, that you can talk about, that you will talk about, because you should and you will. And it is important. And you will not grow. A plant cannot grow if it doesn't have a stem or a root to grow from, and that all comes from the ability to deal with, talk about, and realize that it is okay. But it is okay. Emotions are normal. It's normal. You're going to feel things. And you need to talk about it and process it and take it to the best of your ability and realize, does it need to be in my backpack today? Maybe it needs to be in my backpack tomorrow. I don't need to take this to work today. I can take it tomorrow. I don't need to carry my 5 bags to go to the grocery store. What do you need 5 bags to do small things for? Sometimes you have to put things down and pick them back up, and that's all right too.
I'm processing.
Yeah, and that's important too, you know?
Yeah. I just I try not to. I mean, I know that I openly say that I have forgiven, and I have, but it definitely doesn't stop sometimes from a little bit of anger rising up because you look back and you think about all the hell that you went through unnecessarily. Like, especially when you're a child and you got to live in this stuff or you got to see this type of behavior. And it's just like, I can just say that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I can say that wholeheartedly that you're going to be okay regardless of what it looked like, regardless of what happened. And if you, because I'm thinking about some people who share with me like they're not able to tell anybody. That's where this number comes in. And
It's
sometimes
important.
we share with people and they throw it back up at us in the heat of the moment. They'll throw it back up at you. Um,
And that's because they don't have anything else to hold against you. And people, it all stems from the negative ways that they feel about themselves. And so what they're going to do is they're going to take the one negative thing that they know about you or that has happened to you, and they're going to try and use it against you. Uh,
mhm.
and unfortunately, it is common.
It is very common. And so you can't let that stop you. Because I was just thinking about all of just a flashback of some of the things that I've shared on different people's platforms. And then, there's certain things that I still just struggle with releasing. And you're right. Like, it's not my place to carry this bag. Like, these are
Mm-mm.
cinder blocks that I'm carrying for someone else because of their actions and had nothing to do with me. And here now, my mental health struggles, my depression sets in, not my depression, because I don't claim any of that, but depression tries to settle in and anxiety tries to rise up. And it's like, I am claiming my power back. I am refusing to
Mhm.
allow this, that, and the other. Because you have some people attached to you that they're still doing the same things that they did 20, 30, 40 years ago, and you still attached to them. But y'all know I will be the first to say it doesn't matter the title nor the time. I'm saying it again. I know I said a few minutes ago. It doesn't matter their title, their time. If they're toxic, it's time to snip, snip, cut them
Yep.
loose, throw them out that backpack, and move forward with your life because we only have a certain amount of time from birth to death to do what it is that we truly want to do in our lives. So I'm happy that Carmen is able to be in the healthcare field. I'm happy that she used all the trauma, all the disappointments, all the rejection, all the abuse to make her into the person that she is today, not somewhere in the dark, under the covers, crying her eyes out. Not to say she don't have some of those days where she just want to stay inside with her
Yeah.
eyes closed, but for the most part, the majority of the days, she's getting up and she's making a difference. And she's using all of those negative things because God will use everything that the enemy means for bad, and he will work those things together for our good. And so I'm not up here today looking for someone to give me sympathy, to feel sorry for me. It's not that at all. I'm saying these things have happened, but this is where I am today. And I'm so
Yeah.
thankful that I went from victim to victorious. She went from victim to victorious. She is now moving into helping people that's in crisis situations, helping people that's struggling with their mental health, doing things that's going to help people, help people, help people. And the one is going to touch so many. So that's the reason y'all keep seeing me show up, because if I could touch the one, guess what? You're going to go out and you're going to touch people. I had this lady tell
Hmm.
me just recently, she said, I almost didn't answer your phone call. She said, I looked at it and I said, I'm not going to answer that. You know why? Because she was going through. And sometimes we look at the phone And we don't want to cry on somebody else's shoulders. We're not trying to bring their day down because we're going through. But baby, she answered the phone anyway. And when I tell you she was so thankful that she answered that phone, because you don't know how that person on the other end can encourage you. We need a difference of opinion. We need another point of view, because I might be saying that glass is half full, Carmen. I mean, half empty, and you're like, girl, look at that glass again. That glass is half full. And if you look at it long enough, you'll see it rising and rising, and it's going to the top.
Mm-hmm.
In a minute, it's going to be full, but you got to pay attention. You got to stay focused. And so that's what I'm doing over here. I'm trying to help somebody see that the glass is full. You might not see it full right now. It might be half full, but you keep looking,
She will.
glass is full. So I'm just saying all of that to say answer the phone, call a friend, get a therapist, take medication, listen to music, take a walk, whatever you have to do. Get up, brush your teeth, brush your hair, take some of that junk out your backpack and get it moving forward. You're going to be so glad that you did. I'm a witness. Carmen is a witness. You are going to be so glad that you invested in you.
You are not alone and you matter. That is the most important thing. It is all about the things that you can do to help yourself, help other people, help other people. And that at the end of the day is something that you have to really remember. I say you said that sometimes you're still angry, and that is part of my healing journey as well. I can openly admit we've had this conversation before. I'm not ready to forgive certain people in my life. I'm not ready to not be angry about it, but I don't wake up and let that anger impact the way that I can effectively do what I need to do to help myself and other people. And that is the most important part.
Well, girl, we're going to have to pray for you then. We're going to have
Mhm.
to pray, because once you forgive them and you're no longer angry at them, your life going to take a whole nother turn for the better, because even though you getting up and you going about your day, holding on to that unforgiveness, if you're not careful, it will, girl, don't get me to preach about
I
2015.
know, I know. I say we've talked about it before, and I'm sitting here and I'm telling you that I know it, I can see it, I've acknowledged it, I know that I need to do it, and that's another thing I wanted to touch base too, and I want everybody to realize that I am also sitting here and I'm telling you that I know that I can do this, but it is not always easy.
It's
It
not.
is not always easy, and you can do it at your own pace, and you can take it how you need, because even I'm sitting here today telling you, and I'm preaching to the choir about everything about any of this, but I also am taking things at my own pace. I am healing the way that I need to heal, but I am also still making a difference, and I'm also still impacting people. And that is important for you as an individual to remember too, that it is okay to also take things at your own pace. It is okay to also have things that you still need to work on, that you still need to heal. I could probably eat better, I could probably fix my schedule, my sleep schedule a little bit better, but I'm not taking that as I'm not mean to myself about that, because you shouldn't be. Because I'm sitting here and I'm telling you, I'm still dealing with the things that I need to deal with. I'm still working through forgiving the people and letting go of the little bit of anger that I do have inside of me, but it does not have control of you. It is not who you are as a person and the things that you can put into the world or you can put into yourself. It is okay. It's valid. It's okay to feel that emotion and to process that. And you can still do everything for yourself and more for other people too at the same time. And that's important to remember. You can always better what you need to better for yourself and for other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. This has been a good episode. I'm so glad that you felt comfortable sharing, girl. When you do your full forgiveness and you're no longer angry, and you can come back and tell us, let me give y'all an update, and then you can walk us through how you did it, because I do want to say, Lord, help me too. We talked about music. We talked about affirmations. We did not talk about journaling, I don't think. Journaling, getting it down, it helps. I had the fear, I think, that somebody would find my journals if I chose to write things out. But we all want to take the small steps. Really, really and truly, to be honest, we want to go to sleep all messed up and wake up together. We want to go to sleep
Mhm.
fat and we want to wake up skinny. Like we want to wake up with a zero in our bank account and wake up with billions of dollars. Like we really want it to happen that fast. But in reality, we know we have to take baby steps to oh, thank you, Jennifer. In reality, we know we have to take baby steps to move forward to get where we want to be. And so, if you got a pen and a piece of paper or a pencil and a notebook, or if you got to start on the back of an envelope, if you're looking around, so I don't even have a notepad. Start with the back of an envelope, anything, and start writing how you feel on today. As a matter of fact, after this episode, go write down how this made you feel, to listen to some of the transparency, because I'm not going to tell you we fully transparent, because I know I'm still working on that, but as transparent as I could get for the time as such as this, I'm open about the rape. I talked about the rape in the chapter that I was a co-author in. I did talk about it briefly. It was so hard. Like nobody knows how hard that was. It seemed like a simple, everybody else got 10 pages in the book. I got like one. But to get that one out was so hard. I was on the floor boohooing, snotting, and crying because I had to feel that. I had to remember when that man did what he did to me. And I wouldn't even be able to identify him today. But I had to write it down. And that writing created a healing process, which Carmen said, we're going to be in this process. Like you're going to have something that you have to heal from all the time, because you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be rejected. You're going to be overlooked, all those things. So we're going to constantly be in a healing process of some sort. But it's about, are you going to allow it to like dictate your day? Are you going to allow it to just fester and grow? Or are you going to deal with it immediately? And I'm just going to say, writing it down, it kind of helps you deal with it immediately, where you can just get it out, put your feelings out there, and get that. That's one of them cinder blocks, one or two or three that's back up in there that somebody done threw in over the
Mhm.
day, that you're like, okay, my backpack heavy enough. I'm not gonna let that simmer, stew and grow into anger and bitterness and depression. So I'm going to write it down right now and get it off of me. So if you have experienced depression, anxiety, incest, rape, drug addiction in the family, molestation in the family, any of that, I don't even know how many to name, but y'all get the drift. If you've experienced that, we've talked about that on today. Write it down. Write how that made you feel, and if there's something that came to your mind and on your heart that was heavy, talk about it in that journal entry. Take the time. If you got to take it while you go to the bathroom, take it, go sit in the bathroom, shut the door, lock the door, so the husband, the kids, the grandkids, can't nobody get in until you get that off of you. Because we want to help you as we help ourselves walk in transparency, walk in our truth, and there's no guilt or no shame behind it. And
No.
so we're on this journey together. It's a self-discovery journey with Sunshine. And as I learn the things that I like and the things that I do to get beyond the hurt, the rejection, the abuse, whatever I'm doing to get beyond that, the people that God put in my life, like Carmen, I want to share those people with you so it can help you too. You know, I know some of you may not never come back and say, Sunshine, that helped me. But I bless you that do call and text and say, like Jennifer said, this was good and she enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that, because that encourages me. We all need encouragement. But I
It's
definitely
the
want
small things like that too, Jennifer. Thank you so much, because then I know I'll walk away from this and you made an impact in my life too, just by telling me that you enjoyed watching and you enjoyed listening. It's all just about the little things from the beginning, talking to yourself differently, writing things down, turning the music on, opening up the blinds. It might be hard, but it does make a difference and it's important. The journey that you're on is your own journey, and it is the path, and it's the choices and the decisions that you get to make. Do not let people dictate how you feel about the things that you need to do for yourself, because you are not alone. You matter. Your feelings are valid, and the things and emotions that you feel are not selfish. It is about you sometimes, and that's okay.
and really make it about you every day. Like wake up
Yeah.
thanking God that you have another day. Make it about God first, because we got to seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. So do that first, and then let it be about you before you go to the job, before you go make the kids breakfast, before you do all of those things that pull on you throughout those 24 hours. Put God first and then make it about you. And you're going to be amazed. You are going to be amazed at how your life changes, because we think doing for others is what really defines us. Oh, I had to do this. And a lot of people talk about it too. Oh, I had to do this for this person. I had to do that for that person. I had to do this. No. What did you do for you? Like if you didn't do anything for you first, you really didn't have much to give them. And now you're over here complaining, because really, if you're going down the list of things you had to do for somebody, excuse me, you're complaining about it, you're talking about it, and you're supposed to do things in secret. You're not always supposed to broadcast the things that you do so that God can bless you openly once you do it in secret. So, we're gonna take us a quick break, and then I'm gonna let you close us out with anything that maybe you didn't say and wanted to say, or some closeout thoughts. I just want to make sure that we get it all out, because it's just important. It is completely important. This is a major topic for me. Mental health, suicide, abuse, baby, that goes up underneath my name. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's just the honest to God truth. And that's what we're here to talk about. So we'll be
It
right
isn't. It's only negative if you let it be negative.
and it's not. It used to be, but it's not anymore. And my children know. So that makes it even easier for me to talk about, because my children know. If they didn't know, I still would be like, I don't know. But I told them first, so anybody else, and I told them, don't you ever let anybody make you feel bad, and don't you ever let anybody get you to the point that they made you angry about what they're saying about your mom. Don't worry about that. Like, and as long as you know, and we've had that conversation, let them say what they want to say. But I know that's hard too, but I'm pumping that in them. Don't you ever let somebody say something negative about me that gets you in an angry place, because you don't know what their motives are. They could be mad, they could be jealous. You never know where they're coming from, but they're trying to anger you. So don't let them anger you, because if they do, guess what? They control you. And you can't give anybody that type of control over you. So if you allow people to anger you, they definitely control you. So we'll be right back as we give Carmen just a minute to get her final thoughts together. We have an advertisement for the I Am Her International, where Sunshine about to be on like I think I'm gonna get there on the 21st. And so the Royal Red Carpet Correspondent Sunshine gonna be live and in full effect on the 22nd, and I believe the 23rd. So we'll be right back. All right, all right. Sunshine gonna be on the royal carpet. Woo, child. I'm excited about that. Give me the microphone. I don't know where Big Mike at, but give me the microphone so I can do my interviews.
Yes.
Yes, girl. So, and that's just another example of when you come from behind the guilt, the shame, the depression, the anxiety, just how you're able to be used in the community, in the world, in your country or in the world, because that's an international conference. And so, you just never know who you're going to reach. And it is amazing feeling. And this is why I want to reach back and I want to grab anybody and everybody that is suffering or have suffered from this, just these traumatic experiences, because it is not just one, these traumatic experiences that just don't know how to move forward. So just baby steps, one step at a time. If you didn't get anything else from this, I hope that just the baby steps, one step at a time, unloading that backpack, I hope it resonated with you all, because nothing that has happened is worth you taking your life. And so sometimes the mental health gets very heavy and you feel like that permanent solution is good for that temporary problem, but it is not, because it is only temporary and it too shall pass. So I'm going to turn it back over to Carmen and let her give us her final thoughts and anything that she may have missed. So there you go, baby girl. Take it over.
Yeah, I just want to thank you again for having me today and offering for me to come on here. It makes a really big difference in my life and hopefully some other people too. I just really want to wrap up by saying and just remember that it's your journey. It is your life and the things that you are going through. It's all right and it's valid. And I feel like that the backpack thing has really made a massive impact in my life in the way that I really see things. It makes me step. I count to 10, I take my deep breaths, and I realize, is this something that needs to be in my backpack? Or is this something that I'm letting control my emotions and how I feel about it? And it's just a day to day thing. You know, you wake up in the morning and you do the little things for yourself, and you'll go to sleep at night knowing that you at least did the little things for yourself or the big things for yourself. And for me, I think that it's just really important. And sometimes people just need that small reminder. I feel I spend a lot of my day just reminding people of the little things like that. And I like to believe, and I do believe that it makes a difference. And even if it is just little things too, you're reminding the next person. I heard this one day. I heard somebody tell me, does it need to be in my backpack? Does it need to be in your backpack? And it will make a difference in the long run, and overall it'll make a huge impact in your life. And I really hope that everybody who is listening today or in general realizes that it's okay to heal, and that today might be their pivoting point in the decision that they want to make a difference in themselves, because it is about you. You do matter. You are not alone, and everything that you do makes a difference. So I hope that it's positive and you do everything that you can along the way. And anybody and we're here to support you as it goes. And I'm proud of you and the things that you're doing and the things that you're going through. And I could not be more appreciative to be on here. So,
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I
yeah.
want to read Big Red's comment. Thank you all for such hot topics that you hit on. Someone needed to hear this to encourage them to speak up and speak out. That will help them to decrease their backpack.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank y'all for the comments. I appreciate it. Um, I had something that I wanted to ask you, but I guess we'll have to save that for the next go round. It came and then it went. Let me see. Oh, Jennifer says, thank you for your time. Yes, thank you, Carmen,
Thank
for your
you.
time. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being transparent about just still being angry about some things and having some unforgiveness. But the next time you come on, I truly believe that you're no longer going to be struggling with that. That's going to be out of your backpack forever. You will no longer be angry and you will not be holding on for unforgiveness. Because, honey, I'm connected to some prayer warriors. You hear me? And so your name
Mm-hmm.
is about to be on the prayer list, because you're too beautiful and you're too smart to still have that attached to you. You know what I'm saying? It's time for you to soar, and you're truly on your way. And I'm so thankful to you for you giving Conversation with Celena and our community your time, your knowledge, and just everything that you share with us, part of your testimony. It was a blessing to me. I know it was when I first heard it, and it still rings true today, that I appreciate you and everything that you've overcome and still overcoming.
Mhm.
You're amazing.
Thank you. So are you.
Thank you, girl. Thank you. All right, y'all. Well, that concludes the episode for today. I just want to remind you, I have another two tomorrow. Miss Edith is going to come talk about living with HIV. And then Sharice is going to talk about an app that they have available for college students that if they find themselves in a situation that they're able to utilize this app to call for help. So I'm excited about it. We have had a busy weekend over here at Conversation with Celena. I might actually be live again in a few minutes because I still want that pho that I did not get last night. So I might go to a restaurant and go live since the Friday night foodie kind of failed on my end, not Maurice. Maurice did a great job, but I ain't have a banana to eat over here. I'm like, where is my food? How am I the Friday night foodie without the food? But every time I looked at the $25 delivery, I was like, I'm not that hungry. I was starving to death, but I was not hungry enough to give DoorDash $25 to bring me some liquid juice to drink. So I think that's it. Did you have anything else?
So I think that's it for me too.
Awesome. So yes, y'all come back with me tomorrow. Have an amazing Saturday. Do something special for yourself to give you some self-care, some self-love, some self-attention. Because we do as women, and I'm sure as some men too as well, we're forever giving of ourselves, and sometimes it's from an empty cup. So go fill up your cup on today. Do not forget to journal. I'm gonna take my notebook and stuff to the restaurant and I'm gonna go live just to show you. I got my notebook, I got my pen, and I'm sitting here writing down my feelings and my emotions because even though we're walking in our healing, sometimes when you talk about things, if you're not careful, it'll try to take root all over again. And it's like, oh, no, we're not doing that. So we're gonna write it down. So let's write it down today as we're doing our self-care, okay? Well, Sunshine, love y'all so very much. I don't think I have any other announcements. Y'all pray for me as I travel to Atlanta to the I Am Her International Conference. I believe I'm going to have some tickets to give away for the virtual event. So y'all keep y'all eyes posted to because I will announce it and how you're able to win those tickets. All right, well, I'm done. Y'all know I can talk. I love to talk, but we about to close it out because you got to go share a smile and spread some sunshine. All right, y'all. Keep it smiling, sister.
Bye.
Mwah.